welcome back to another episode of Two Scripples, One Motherfucking Pole. It has been a month since I recorded, and it wasn't even on purpose. Let me start there. So what happened was, that last episode that I released was audio only, and I had announced that I was going to take a 2-week break because I was like, life is in turbo mode right now, trying to get all this work done before I go to New York. So I'm going to take the week that I'm in New York off, and I'm going to come back. So then, I'm in New York. I had a great time. I had a motherfucking blast. My camera is crooked as shit, but we were just rolling with the punches. And then I realized that week, I think, or maybe it was like coming on to the next week, that my episode, for whatever reason, did not post to YouTube. So YouTube had like 2 weeks back to back with nothing. So then I released it on there, and then life just sped up again. And then I actually recorded an episode like maybe 2 weeks ago, or at least a week ago at this point. But I recorded an episode, and I just started having technical difficulties. And the next thing I know, it's been a month. And so it was an unintentional break, much needed. I have been living my best motherfucking life. But I was like, okay, let me at least come back and do an episode and announce that I will be going on a season break. And the episode that I recorded, I had recorded it, like I said, technical difficulties, car just being crazy as it always is. And then I had just got like backtracked, and I was just like, fuck it, I just don't even have the energy. I'm just back to living life, and now we're here. So I'm gonna take a season break after this episode. How long, I'm not sure. Definitely will be back in January. I'm not gonna make promises, so maybe February, but by February for sure. Yeah, so let's get into it. It's literally so much that I could talk about. I also want to go ahead and apologize because when I went back and listened to that episode, the ending where I did the meditation, I didn't realize that you could hear me painting in the background. So if that threw you off, my apologies. I gave you the info. Go do the meditation yourself. And why my notebook fall apart, y'all, I don't be doing nothing with this, like, besides writing in it. But it was just like, yeah, we're done, and just fell apart. So yeah, let me get my pen so I can mark off my notes, because I'm going to run through this. Because since I wrote this, so much else has happened. So I'm going to knock that. Oh, this pen don't got no... Y'all, I love this pen. It ain't got no more ink. I've worn this to the ground. Fun, like this, what are words? The design on this was like a metallic silvery thing, and it's all gone. Like, you only see it, I don't know if y'all, you can only see it, like, maybe I'll zoom in if I notice you, but you can only see it like under the puffball, because I've used this pen just so freaking much. I don't have my headphones. I see waves, so I'm assuming it's picking up what I'm putting down. I came outside today. I'm at the park, one with nature. The bugs aren't... Let me not even finish that sentence, because if they start attacking me, I'm going to have it. So yeah, let me see. Last time I spoke to y'all, this camera really is crooked, and I sat here trying to like fix it so it wouldn't be as crooked, but I feel like it's gonna be fine once I upload it. So let me just move on. Yeah, so there's so much that I could talk about since last time. But I guess I'll start with the project that I was working on. So my genogram, the presentation went well. It was really interesting to see like how we all identify culture and like what aspects are more important to us, or not even necessarily more important, but like what we are more likely to identify for ourselves before other people do. So like on mine, and I'll post a picture in the video for those of you who are watching on YouTube, but so I use a lot of symbolism in mine, and I think I had told y'all how I was really stressed out when I first saw the syllabus and I like peeped it, like, what do you mean I have to do a family genogram? Like, I don't really talk to my family, I don't know too much about that. And then when I just like peeped it, and I was like, okay, we'll get there when we get there. And then we started talking about it in class, and like after class I really did break down. Like I started noticing I was getting like a little like fidgety, and after class we're like walking out, and you know, some of my cohort members like, yo, like you okay? And I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, I'm just really stressed out about this project. And like, I mean, I was in tears. And I was like, you know, I mean, I have an idea of where I could take it, but like I've just been really stressed out about it. And even in one of the texts that we're reading was talking about how like this project, particularly for people who identify as African American, oh, it's a doggy, can be very hard, just given the whole transatlantic slave trade and not knowing that part of history. So where do you start? So when I really thought about that part, I was like, okay. And, you know, I've shared a little bit about how, like, I've been going on this spiritual journey for almost a year now. And what does all of that look like? So I decided, like, I knew that I wanted to do some part of like my family tree representing like ancestors. So that's that top part where I used cotton balls to make like the first layer up top. And for me, it was like it symbolizes clouds, they're up there in heaven having a ball. White is like a symbol, a color symbolism for purity. And then I also thought it was like, you know, niggas was picking cotton. So, you know, like that symbolism of spirituality, but like the physical representation of the physical hard labor that they were forced to do. And so then under that, I did I painted like a little line of like a mix of red that's kind of supposed to be like a blood red for me. And then I took paper clips and chained them together and hot glued them on. So that was just like the hardships of slavery. So then from there, like the next background was like the brick wall pattern, and I really just kind of started thinking about like all of the obstacles and things that have been put in place, like in all the historical moments. So like the civil rights movement, Jim Crow laws, and you know, just that time period, and even some of the things that we still have to do today, and like the hurdles that we have to go through, and this idea of like, you know, we have to be 10 times harder, or we have to work twice as hard to get the same as like the more privileged identities. And then the bottom half, that galaxy print, is part of me considering myself in conjunction with the universe and me going on a spiritual journey, but also I feel like in the greater context of how like I feel like this generation is moving to like, okay, like we need to get out of all of this hectic shit, you know, that overall when you get off of social media and you get out of that echo chamber of just all the nonsense, and I don't even really want to talk about the election, because I'm like, I haven't, since that last episode, I don't be watching the news. I only watch the news when I go over people's houses that are watching the news. And I just have to go back to that, because I've never watched the news this much in my life, and it was so much. And even still, when I get like glimpses of it, I'm like, this is why I stopped watching this shit in the first place. It's just a shit show. Like, I know what I am interested in seeing. I know what I'm voting for. So I don't need to keep seeing all of this nonsense. But, you know, I did say I was going to keep recording until like the election and give y'all, some of the insights. And I think really it's not even about it. I've mentioned this before of how we don't really talk about what all goes into an election, and like it really starts at the local level. So if you want people who have your ideals in mind, or what you would like to see, like that represent the hell the change you want to see, it really starts at the local level, because those are your representatives. So it's like we don't push local primaries and state elections as hard as we do the presidential election every 4 years. So that's another reason that when the presidential election comes around, niggas is like, my vote don't matter anyway, So I'm actually gonna put the link below, Ballotpedia, I believe. Don't have it written down, but it's in one of my tabs somewhere, but I don't have internet because I'm outside. But you can look up what state you're in and see like who and what is on the ballot, okay? Because it's more than just Trump and Kamala, okay? It's a lot at stake here, right? So I believe that if you haven't registered to vote by now, hopefully you register to vote for the next year and start participating in more local elections. But if you don't, hey, that's your prerogative. But to the people who have registered or are registered and you're still just like, I don't really know, you might be made up on like Trump versus Kamala, but like I said, it's so many other things on that ballot, and it's the news don't talk about it enough. So you got to do your own research. So go check out what your ballot is. But back to my project. So I just feel like this generation is moving more to an open mind and wanting to be progressive and letting people be who they are and step in their purpose, and not as many roadblocks, so that's how I did like the background. The nooses that are hanging. So I was thinking of Javion McGee, who he was a 21, and I think he might have just turned 21 years old, but he was a 21-year-old man who was Chicago based, but he had just started like a truck driver job, and he was actually making a delivery in North Carolina. So shortly, like a couple hours after, or not, I guess not a couple hours, the next morning, his body was found leaning against a tree or like sitting against a tree. I don't really know the position of his body, but it was suggestive of a lynching. But like the police are saying, the police's argument is that it's he did buy the rope himself, and that just because it doesn't look like a traditional noose, since it doesn't look like a traditional noose, it's not a lynching. So they're saying it's a suicide, but his family is like, he showed no signs of being depressed or thinking about killing himself. He had plans to see a family member after he finished the trip. Like, he was really excited. His father is also a truck driver, so it was like he following his father's footsteps. It just wasn't any signs. And like the rope that he did purchase is a rope that truck drivers typically use to help cargo. And there was like footage of him buying the rope, and he looked like he's tossing it around. He looks fine, so it was a lot of questions surrounding it. And the family talked about how like there were hoops and hurdles to try to get information out of the police, so they really don't know, and it's not one of these things that are being publicized. So unless you're really following the case, you don't know what's going on. So I was kind of thinking about that and what I wanted to do. I felt like rope is important in African American history, and I don't know if I've ever mentioned it. I feel like I have, but I don't know if it was like a toy talk or if it was a regular episode. But I took a rope class. It was last year. Yes, it was last year. I took a rope class just to learn like the basics of bondage. And I've always been interested since I've been within the dom, the BDSM space. Like, I'm interested in rope and the many ways that I could use it in terms of like also like adorning my body, but also getting into suspension and getting better at bondage. But rope play is definitely something that you need. Like, you got to be focused, because if you're not practicing, you're gonna forget the ties. So yeah, that's something that I've been interested in, and I was really appreciative. The class that I took, I found it on FetLife, and it was somebody who was hosting it at their house. And the very first class, and it was a white person too, so I found it very appreciative of how serious they took this moment. And it was me and shout out Sir Merciful. Like, I think we were the only black people, because it was like a 4-series course, and he came with me because I had bought a 2-person ticket, and he was like, yeah, I'll come and support you, so shout out you. Oh, ballotpedia.org, I did write it down. See. Anyway, so yeah, before we got to like the actual tying part, they were giving us the history, and they were saying like, it would be really irresponsible of me to teach this class and not exercise the importance of the risk associated with this and the history. So that is something that we call RAC, which is risk aware consensual kink. So whenever you are engaging in certain things, you are aware of the risk associated. Are you doing breath play? What risk are that? Somebody could pass out, somebody could die. Like, if you're doing electro play, you need to make sure that they don't have heart conditions or like a pacemaker or things. If you're doing wax play, you want to make sure that they don't have certain and fire play, you want to make sure that they don't have certain like body chemicals on them that could ignite or get like skin burn or something. With fire play, you want to make sure that you have a blanket and a fire extinguisher at hand to put out a fire, because you could burn someone alive, and so as the top or dominant, making sure that you are aware that this could happen, but also in doing your best to minimize the risk, but also letting your bottom know, like, what is really up, and so what I need from you for this to be successful for both of us. So yeah, with rope play, it seems like something that's like, oh, it's so pretty, and what damage could possibly come here? Nerve damage. If you tie it too tight, if you tie it in the wrong spots, there are certain parts of your body that rope should not touch when you're doing rope play. And after a while, even as safe as you can be, you're gonna get nerve damage, because it's just a repeated strangulation or strangulation, I can't think of another word. I don't even know if I can say these words on YouTube, but we'll see. But that repeated, I don't know what word I'm trying to say, but I hope y'all pick up what I'm putting down, but just like damage to your nerves. And if you're going to engage in this, making sure that you're doing your best to mitigate how much damage is being done, right? And then another point that they made was that, like, we also can't ignore the history of rope. Like, again, people think that rope is so pretty, it can't be that dangerous, but lynching, like, black people, strange fruit, people were hanging from trees from rope. So that really just like, whew, I was like, oh, when they said that. And so that kind of, it was interesting that I went to, after Sonia Massey was shot, there was like a little, it wasn't really a retreat, but it was like a holding space, like a day. I'm really blanking on the word, but it was for black women, and black queer women, and just like, to honor Sonia Massey, honor each other, honor ourselves, and just really be in a healing space. And this was before I moved, so I don't think I ever mentioned that part. But it was like, it was literally the day the fire happened. And so I had like already been planning to go. And then I was like, no, I need to pack and da-da-da. But then the fire happened. And I was like, you know what? The universe has a funny way of saying, bitch, get out the house. And I was like, I heard you. So I went there. And one of the exercises we did, and I'm blanking in this moment of who it was led by, but they were talking about like different exercises that they do with rope and like exploring. And one major thing with kink and BDSM is like really exploring things. Go to classes, even as a sub, like, or a bottom. Like, maybe you don't want to be the person to do this to someone else. You do want to be a bottom and experience it. Like, still go to classes so you know, like, you can kind of recognize, like, is this top a person that's safe? Like, if you go out to an event and you see somebody doing fire play, or you see somebody doing some other kind of play and you're interested, like, you can kind of sit and observe and see what they're doing, and you know what's going on. You're not just going in completely blind. But also so you know what you like, right? And you can start to learn and do these things to yourself, for yourself, and get to know your body and what is really one of your like triggers. And I mean triggers in a really good way. Oh yeah, shout out, I forgot y'all, but y'all see my hair on Instagram, but shout out Deshawn, she did the her. And I got it. So she did it. It's been 2 weeks, but I've been wanting to take it out because my head was a little tight. But then also, yesterday, y'all, I did a sensory deprivation float tank. I'm gonna get into that. But I was like, I really wanted to record so y'all could see the hair. Because let me tell you, this time last year, baby, my hair was like right here. I saw one of those like memories a year ago today. I was like, my hair was black and it was like right here. But baby, long hair, I don't give a fuck. Also, shout out to my mama, because this shirt jacket, looking like a lumberjack, my coworker, after I went to the salt thing and I came into work, because he was like, girls, you coming in like they getting tacos. I was like, oh, I'll be right there. But I also, let me just jump in, I'll get back to my project and the rope conversation. But so I went to the float tank, and I've been wanting to do a sensory deprivation float tank for ages, and I finally found one. And I was like, you know what, we just had a super full moon in Aries. Full moons are about releasing, and I was like, there's so much that I just need to release, and I'm really in a big introspection era right now. Like, life is great, life is wonderful, and thank y'all, shout out to y'all for rocking with me. So yeah, I was like, you know, I had my journal prompts ready. What am I thinking about? It was a 9 out of 10 experience. And the only reason why I say 9 out of 10 is because, like, in my head, I was like, my appointment is at 9 o'clock for an hour float. I'm going to get in there. Then I booked another appointment for like a 30-minute. It was like a VEIM or something. I don't really remember. It just sounded cool, and I was like, fuck it, we ball. And I added it. But it was like, you go in a room and they give you like an eye mask and headphones, and they played like, you know, meditation music, and it was a weighted blanket, and you get on this like table thing, a table chair, and it vibrates. And it's supposed to like help with like chronic pain and muscle relaxation and all. It's like another form of meditation therapy. And so I booked the 1 hour float, then the 30-minute vibration sound stuff. And then I was like, you know, I'm already out. The center's in Laurel. So I was like, I'm going to go run a couple errands in Laurel, do what I need to do, go to work, and then go back home and like I had like a Halloween party I had to go to. So okay. So when you walk into the salt room, it's like a bathroom. You have the shower, you have like a little stand to put your stuff, and you have like a little like basket of like towels and earplugs and stuff. So you're supposed to rinse off. Make sure y'all read the waivers and stuff, because if you contaminate the water, they will charge you up to $1,500 to replace that water. So I was on there reading every I that is dotted, every T that is crossed, and y'all not charging me nothing, okay, except for what I paid to come here for, okay. But you do take a shower, like a little rinse shower, like when you go to the pool, or how you supposed to, and you do a rinse, and then you get in the float tank. So it was like a door that opens into a pod. So you get in, and there was like lights in the ceiling, and they were playing music, and you get in, they had a little like thing, a ring that you could like put your head in, so that if you felt like your head was too lowered in the water, you could float more. So I did that. I think it was like maybe after like 15, 20, maybe 25 minutes, the lights and the music go off, and you are in pitch motherfucking black. Pitch motherfucking black, okay? But you can press the buttons to turn it back on. And so I'm doing great. Like I was in there talking to myself. I was singing, like, because it echoes, and it really is like I had an out of body experience. I was just like, oh bitch, I see you floating. But I also, y'all, I be forgetting about my motion sickness, right? And so it was really hot in there too. It was hot. I was like, Jesus Christ. So I was like, shit. And I always know when I'm gonna throw up. Like, I get this feeling, my mouth start watering, and like when my mouth start watering, it's like, bitch, you need to find a receptacle to hold your insides immediately. Because, you know, and I think I've told y'all before, I refuse to be that person that's just like, rah! Everywhere. No. So, you know, I had like sat up, because when you sit up, you sit down. But like once you just like lay down, you're floating. And it's not like, the room it's small, so like if you're claustrophobic, you might have a bit of a hard time. I did prefer to have my eyes closed, and once the lights went off, you couldn't really tell the difference if your eyes was open or not, because it was black as shit in there. But yeah, so I sat up, and I like opened the pot, and y'all could see my water bottle, like it's dried salt on there still. Speaking of this, 2 weeks ago, I think it was mental health awareness week, and I had did this like yoga class, and it was yoga centered, or it wasn't centered around journaling, but there were like breaks that we took where we did journaling, and I was the first person who showed up, and the yoga instructor, you know, she's like, hi, and we introduced ourselves, and I like took a sip of my water. She was like, that's a big ass water bottle. But I love me some water, okay? It's a 64 ounce. I got it for $20 from Walmart, okay? So I got out. Well, I didn't get out. I like opened the pod door and grabbed my water bottle, and I was like, okay, let me drink some water. And I thought I was fine. I tried to lay back down. It was like, yeah, bitch. So I smacked the fuck out that panic button. I was like, bitch, come get me. So I hit it, and I like got out the pod, and I put my robe on, and I'm like trying, and then I hear her knocking, like, is everything okay? So I put my shoes on. I opened the door. I was like, I'm feeling nauseous. She was like, do you need some water? I was like, no, I already drank some water. I need to throw up. Where's the toilet? She was like, oh. So she like takes me. She's like trying not to run. She's like fast walking. She takes me around the corner to the bathroom, and I sure enough, before she even closed the door, I was like, ah! Head in the toilet. I was going to fucking town. Got myself together. And by this point, because I actually did get in the pod a little bit early, I got in probably around like 8:45. So when I got back to the room and checked the time, at this point it was like 9:39, I think. And you know, I only had it till 10. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do a little bit more. So I went back in, and I think I got back out around like 9:50, and I started taking a shower. And then I like went out to they had like a little mini bar where they had like, you know, some like rejuvenation. It was water. It was, you know, the sparkling waters. It was little snacks. It was hot tea. It was coffee. Whatever you needed, they had it. So I'm sitting there. She come around. She's like, are you ready for the next part? I said, no. Let me drink my tea. And she was like, okay. So then this other girl who worked there came in, and she was like, once I was done, I was like, I'm ready. So she took me in a room, and I laid down, and I was like, okay, this is cool. I probably wouldn't do that part again. I did add aromatherapy to my float, but I didn't smell it. And when I said something to the girl, she was like, well, I added it. And I was like, but I got eucalyptus and mint, and especially mint is a strong ass scent. So I was like, maybe you did the wrong part because it wasn't mine. Okay. So I don't know if I would add that on next time, just because I think I might go one more time with I definitely would do it again. But I don't know how much of the aromatherapy I would rely on, because I was really stressing about, because you only get to pick 2 scents. I was really stressing about like, what scents do I want to use. I emailed them beforehand, like, what scents do you have, because they didn't have one on the website. They were like, oh, we have like lavender and eucalyptus and like, a whole bunch of other to pick from. And I'm like, bro, that did not answer my question. Like, what? So then I started doing like kind of research on different essential oils and and I was like, all right, I'm gonna pick these 2. And I was like really focused. So I was sniffing like, where it's at, and I did not smell it. So yeah. So anyway, finish up the vibration shit, and I go to the bathroom. That shower ain't do shit. When I say that dried up salt was everywhere, it was all over my clothes. It was this, my hairline was non-existent. It was crazy. I was like, oh, I can't go in public like this. So I called my partner up, and I was like, yo, like, well, first I was like, you eat breakfast and you want to go to the dispensary? And he was like, he already went out. But he said something, and I was like, yeah, well, I thought that I was about to get some stuff done and da-da-da-da. And he was like, you need to, like, you don't have to go all the way home to shower. Like, you could just stop by my house. I was like, you right. So I did that. Took a little shower. And then I was like, my coworker was like, bitch, you coming in for the tacos? And I was like, bet. So like, mind you, this shower, I washed my hair after the first shower. I washed my hair in the second shower. I get to work, and not even get to work. I get in the car headed to work. I pull down a visor. It's like, bitch, shower where? That salt was still everywhere. I was looking so crusty, and I was like, bro, I can't go into work like this. I can't. But I did it anyway. So I went in. The whole reason why I started telling this is because I went in and I wore this over top of some of my clothes. Because originally the original shirt that I had on had the stains on it. So I put this on to cover it. And then my coworker was like, you look like a motherfucking butch lesbian. Like, you drive like a Subaru. And I was like, you are so right. And I had on sweatpants. Like, I was just really looking crazy. I did not look work appropriate at all. But I was like, by the time I go home and come back, like, the food gonna be gone. You know what I'm saying? So we made it work. I like changed my shirt so it wasn't as bulky, and I like try to pull my hair up, but like the salt it's still in my hair. Like, I need to thoroughly clean this, but I just wanted y'all to see my hair so bad. So I was like, I gotta record today so I can get it out the way, and I can take this shit out and like just go to fucking town with my hair. So anywho, yeah, did I finish that? Yeah, it was just like it was crazy. And then I ended up, after I left work, I went home and I finished my midterm, and then I was getting ready to go to a Halloween party, and I had to take another shower. And even after the other shower, like, I washed my hair for a third time. I washed my body for a third time, and the salt was still everywhere, and it was like stuck behind my ear. Like, every time I checked, my ear was crusty. It was a lot. So that's why I say 9 out of 10. Like, it's not something I would, if you thought you was about to have a day, you don't. Like, don't plan to do anything else. Either book it early in the morning and make sure your plans are way later at night, or book it after you done had a full day and you doing it at night, or like it's genuinely a day that you don't have shit to do but you. Okay. I also would say that it's not like, me personally, I would not smoke and do it, because I know how even sometimes, like, even when I'm just regularly smoking on some chill shit, like, sometimes it does affect me with a little bit more of my anxiety. So I would not do that. I thought, I'm like, I would potentially, very small, I would have to get a lot more used to the float. But I would consider like shrooms and doing it. But even with that, like, that would take me a while to do, because like I said, I need to get more familiar with just like the sensation of floating, because I mean it feels like nothing, like it really feels like you're just existing. But that can be like a lot. And then also, like, I've never had like an actual like trippy trip from shrooms. I've only done shrooms like 3 times, and the first 2 times it was like microdosing. The third time I like actually did it and nothing happened. Like, I don't feel like anything significant happened. Like, I don't feel like there was any moment that I was like, oh, okay. Even like, because people be talking about seeing colors and this and that and that. I've never had that. And I just never had like, I know that the microdose, and I was just really, really intensely focused. And it wasn't until way after that I realized, like, oh, that's what that was. Because I was just expecting right off the bat to just like see shit. It took me forever to even try shrooms because I was so nervous of like what everybody says. And it's definitely not a drug that like I would want to do around other people, because it really can. I've just heard stories about like, if you don't got positive energy around you, it's really gonna fuck you up. It's gonna fuck your trip up. And if you don't have positive energy within yourself, but that's just like with anything, even with this, like, if you're not in a positive space or a semi-positive space, or I would say on this, like, if you're not at least 51% positive, I would not do it. If you're like on this percentage and you're more in a negative headspace, I wouldn't suggest it. And I would also suggest that like you go with intention. Like, yeah, okay, this has always been on my bucket list. I've always wanted to do it, but now I'm also in a space where like, because it's literally you and your thoughts. So like, if you are not really trying to consider something or think about, reflect on things, like what other reason are you going for? But even with that said, like, that was one of the driving factors for me. It does have benefits. So that's why I go back to like, you need to be in a more positive mind space and being open and allowing for what may come up, because it's just you and your thoughts. And so if you have more positive thoughts on this spectrum, then you'll be better off. But it also has like, you know, because it's so much Epsom salt that it makes you float. Make sure you're hydrated. And I know y'all, my back be hurting, my shoulder was hurt, everything was hurt. I feel fine, okay? I feel great. So it helps with like chronic pain and just stress relief, relaxation, all of that. And yeah, so that was my floating experience. I got into that because I was talking about rope. So at this this event that I attended, the exercise was talking about like this exploration with rope and like doing these different things of just seeing how it feels and what it brings up for you. So it was like, it was condensed for the, and I'm gonna see if I can find it and put it, let me write this down. I ain't got no ink in here. So it was just like, you know, playing around with the rope and seeing, and it was, I think the full exercise is supposed to be like 40 minutes, but we condensed it down to like 20 minutes. And it was just like, there was different ways that you could do it. So like, one of them was just like simply dragging, another one was kind of like looping, and it's like really leading with curiosity and see like, what does it feel like against my toes? What does it feel like against my lap? What does it feel like against my arm? Can I loop it this way and do that? Like, really exploration. And so I found myself finding the rope around or near my neck. And I kept finding it there. And then finally, I just tied it around my neck. And I pulled it, not tight at all, but I pulled it just so that you knew that something was around your neck. And I just sat with that. And a lot of people were talking about how they had a positive experience. And it wasn't that my experience wasn't positive. I didn't feel like it was negative. I was just like, I don't know. Like, it's when you think about the history of rope and, you know, you think about just all of the black men and women and children and people of color and that have been killed at the hands of the police or other like vigilantes and all this stuff. It's just like, you really have to think about how much hatred and energy goes into unaliving someone that way. And the fact that like there used to be legit, like, you can find pictures of it if they don't get rid of all of the, you know, ban everything. Like motherfucking Trump was talking about he talking about how he don't got nothing to do with Project 2025, but they want to get rid of the Department of Education. And he said on the news the other day that he will get rid of the Department of Education, and he will take funding away from schools that teach slavery. And so that's why I'm just so befuddled why black people support this man. I don't understand why people of color support this man. And it's like, I've seen videos where, and I said I wasn't going to talk about this, but since it naturally integrated, but it's like, I've just seen videos of like people they're just ignorantly following him. But then when I'm in my sociocultural class, it's just like, it's interesting. It's interesting. You know, it's interesting. But yeah, anyway, so I had the rope tied around my neck and just kind of sat with that. It was just like, you know, what do you do with that, you know? And so back to my art piece. It felt essential for me to add this in because of the history of rope. And what I initially wanted to do was use it to connect the different family members, but I felt like it was getting very sculptural and busy. So I had I wanted it to be where the black lines were, but instead I just decided to incorporate them in noose form. And I did 4 because you know, we always say this 400 years of slavery, 400 years of slavery, 400 plus, and it technically wasn't 400 years. It was like 240, 250, around that era of like, I don't want to say legit, but like the slavery as we know it, with like chains and whipping and ownership. And it comes into 400 when you consider like the Jim Crow laws and like the modern day slavery with the prison systems and like just the whole institution of that. It comes out to that much. So that's why I did 4 for each century. And then like some of the other symbols, I did the Pan-African flag for everybody because as far as I know, my entire family is just like African American, and that white halo around everybody. Only one of my family members, to my knowledge, has done an ancestry test, so like they have more knowledge of what's going on. But even that isn't full because it's not full scope because you don't have both parents. And then I just kind of put the possibility that it could be so much more than just this African American, because it is. And then like the pink triangle for the AIDS epidemic, and the red is like conflict, specifically with drugs. The flowers are symbols of like people who have passed in my family. And since I don't have it right now, I'm trying to think if there's any other important symbols on it. No, I don't think so. So that project, and you know, what things that I considered in my family were like, you know, female versus male. As far as I know, I don't have anybody in my family, at least that I was put on here, that identifies like non-binary or transgender. You know, some people in theirs were talking about like it was really interesting to see how everybody tackled it. Some people like did like actual geography in there. Somebody else did kind of like it was interesting to see like the color that they use, and how like the information they really knew was more like pink and brighter colors, and then as it moved further up the family tree, they didn't really know much, so it starts to turn grayscale. People consider like how age plays a factor in their family, how education plays a factor in their family. And I'm like, it wasn't until I started hearing other people that's like, I could have included age. I could have included education, because majority of my family is educated, and I could have done all of these things, but that wasn't really something that was on my mind. And I think because like I had this worry of like, well, I don't know a lot about a lot of my family in such a deep context, and I didn't really want to start reaching out to people personally, that's why that just didn't even cross my mind. And then it was kind of like, well, I definitely could have added education. I definitely could have added, like, I have a lot of family who's military, and I could have added those things, but for me, in my perspective, that's not really something that I resonate with, so I didn't think about my family in that context. And yeah, so that was the painting. That was that class. Something else that we did, just talking about, we had this question that my teacher had asked us about, like, you know, the therapeutic relationship. What is that? How does that what does it look like when clients are feeling oppressed versus when clients are empowered? And so this particular project, I had started out with collage, because I've mentioned how I really like text in my work. So I started out with collage, but then as I started working and I grabbed oil pastels, I was like, I'm not really feeling like I'm not really feeling like a concrete word girly. So instead, I like put the writing on the back of it so I could remember what I was referencing, and then try to convey that feeling. So for the side that was talking about being oppressed, the words that I put together were feels like under pressure, must guard, encyclopedia of hate. And so I did this like white line of like this ghostly figure kind of just like slumped over, and I'm thinking about being depressed and like kind of like reverting to yourself and feeling lost, empty, lonely, and like all of this self-hate, and around like being surrounded by hate and not having support and not really having this sense of purpose or hope or faith, and, you know, just being mistreated and discriminated against. And so it's just this white line, and how you have all of this going on the outside, and you start to internalize it. And it's like, I don't know if y'all can really see in the picture, but it's like, it's black, but then I went back in it with some blue and red to kind of show that like that pain and that sadness. And then at the bottom, it's like this little ray of light that's kind of like, it could go either way, right? Depending on, as a therapist, how are you empowering your clients, or are you adding on to the oppression? So it could either be like leaving the body, or it could be slowly just kind of like a dimmer, like it's still there, it just needs help pulling out. So on the flip side, empowerment, I started thinking about like really in the context of group therapy, and just like when you feel empowered and you feel sure in yourself, you're able to outreach and help others. So it was like this general shape of like reaching out in these bright colors, and I didn't really want to use like around it, I didn't want to have like dark colors. I wanted it to be stark differences in that. And then I started noticing how the black still got in the background of it, and I thought it was interesting that it does that, like a kind of hindsight in it of like how you're still going to have remnants of that trauma or that pain or whatever happened, but like that really is a part of what made you you. How did you like kind of take this narrative and spin it for you to be empowered, for you to move forward and release the pain of it, but like take the lesson of it. And how does that propel you forward into your purpose and connecting with others? So yeah, sociocultural classes, just always love it. We had interesting discussions this week too. I just love that class. Finished. What else did we do? Oh, for my group therapy class, before I went to New York, I had to lead like a group therapy session, and I did a guided meditation. So I took like bits and pieces of what Londrell did, and I was really thinking about like over the course of over a year, how me and my cohort have just gotten close, and like the readings talking about the importance of being here, being present, and just, you know, a lot of the imposter syndrome, the self-doubt, the overwhelm of like, am I even on the right path, that, you know, we've shared with each other, these vulnerabilities. And the person before me, they had did this really, I have it right here. It's crazy. Oh, it's not in the thing. I'm not going to read it because it is personal. But it was like, you know, she was like, you know, we're going through a lot right now. Like, and what do you need? What do you need? So her activity was, she got a bunch of different cards, and she was like, write a note to yourself and make yourself a card. What do you need? And so that was like really helpful, and I got to see and hear some of what other people had wrote. So that's what I really used to inspire me to make the guided meditation, and it went well. And yeah, so that's school. I just did my midterm. We're halfway through, got a couple more papers we're pushing through. Y'all, tell me why. Me and my coworker minding our business. It's like we're in this like Sprinter van, and it's like a little, like, let's say it's a Honda Civic in front of us, and then it's like a car that's like I don't speak Ford, I don't know, but it was like some Ford truck, and they was on the side parked, but they had their door open and they was getting out the car. So the car in front of us, they had room to go, but they wasn't going. So we kind of like, yo, what the fuck is going on? We quickly found out what the fuck was going on. So the guy who was in the Ford is getting out of the car, and he wrapping something around his wrist. The person in front of us finally drove past. We get up. This motherfucker got a goddamn machete. I said, oh. So the next thing I know, he's like, it's like this one dude, this black dude, he's standing behind like this generator thing, and he just like, this ain't got shit to do with me, brother. Like, he's really minding his business, just like. So it's another dude. He looked like a young dude. He had to be like late teens, early 20s. And he's clearly the target of the machete motherfucker. So machete nigga is just like walking, like ready to turn this man into hibachi. Okay, the dude that's the target, he look at me like, help me please, and I'm looking at him like, nigga, what the fuck am I supposed to do? So I'm stressing out, my coworker's stressing out, clearly old buddy is stressing out, and so I didn't know what to do. I called the police. They, as always, are not helpful, but this is where I lost sympathy for the boy, because, you know, I'm on the phone with them and they're trying to get information. I'm like, listen, I'm driving and I'm not getting out the car to go try to call y'all and be one of y'all key witnesses. I'm just telling y'all might be getting a more intense call in a couple minutes. Like, y'all speed up the process, okay? But old buddy, I look in the rear view mirror, he done took his machete. Dude was like, all right, fuck it. He started getting back in the car. He not even in the car yet, mind you. He's like he's hopping up to get into the car. Buddy has a beer bottle in his hand and throws it at the motherfucker's window. Oh, so you just want to be chopped up. That's what it's giving. It's giving you really do want to be hibachi today. So the dude, he ended up not getting out the car, but he like drove around. So I don't know what happened with all of that, but that was crazy. What else has been going on? I've been having a lot of fun doing Audible. I've been listening to books and I've been listening to my text messages, not my text messages, like my actual PDF text for class, because it's just been too much. I read slow. It'd be too much, okay? So I started listening to more Audible, and I love it. I've been really getting more into like law of attraction and the 4 agreements, and just like really turning that around and reflecting of like how powerful I've always known, and I've talked to you all about it, like how powerful our words are, how powerful our thoughts are, and how it really is. It's hard to grasp it, but it's also like it's always easier said than done. I could sit here and preach you the gospel, but until you really start to do that shadow work and really figure out like, okay, well, how do I can contribute to the things that are going on around me, even if it doesn't feel like it, like, and even if it's like, you know, you can't control other actions, you can control yourself, how you react to things, right? How do you look at things when they come up? Like, you know, is it an opportunity for something better? We might be bummed that this thing didn't work out, but it's really like, okay, that just means that right there wasn't meant for me. That wasn't meant to hold me down. Because if I was tied up in that, then the next best thing, and that might not be today, might not be tomorrow, might not be next week, might not be next month. But once you like, what is it you want? Why do you want it? It's yours. The rest will figure itself out, So yeah, and like, so the 4 agreements, Don, I'm blanking on the name, and I don't got it's on my phone, y'all. It's on my phone. But one is to be impeccable with your words. So again, like, making sure that you are not illy speaking on yourself or others, because that karma, what I do, 7 spiritual laws of success, karma's a bitch. Okay, that shit will come back to you. Okay, so you want to make sure that you're speaking positive things out, so that also comes back to you. What else? Don't take things personal, because everybody's operating from more or less a selfish space. So if I know I ain't do shit to somebody, but somebody got an attitude, baby, that's their problem, not mine. It don't got shit to do with me. Don't make assumptions either. And then with all of that, we might not always say the best things. We might sometimes take things personal. It's a lot of unlearning a lot of things that we've been taught or we've seen, throughout the years. And so with all of that, of the assumptions we make, the things we take personally, the sometimes not so nice things that we say, always do your best. Okay, yeah, I said this thing, I probably shouldn't have said it. Or, oh, I made this assumption, I probably shouldn't have done that. Oh, I took that personal, I probably shouldn't have done that. Okay, I recognize it. Cool. Now we're gonna start over. We're gonna keep doing our best. Okay. So that's the 4 agreements. What else? I never mentioned to y'all how I went to the Sir concert back in, I think that was July. That was fun. But yeah, okay, so the dude Zakari, he came because it was Sir's youngest brother, Davion Ferris. Then it was Zakari, and then it was Sir. And I didn't realize who Zakari was. Honestly, I thought Zakari was a DJ or something, because I remember seeing the name on Sir's song. I think it was Mood, and then he was on Love with Kendrick Lamar. But other than that, I had never really seen it, and I honestly didn't hear his voice. I don't know why, I just thought he was a DJ, and they had something else going on. Anyway, so he was singing, and y'all, the motherfuckers in the venue was so rude. They was talking over his entire fucking set. I was like, y'all might not fuck with the dude, but y'all could bring it down a little bit, let the man cook. And it was crazy because he ended his set with Love. As soon as he did Love, everybody phones out, and I was like, y'all just ignored this man for the last 30 minutes of his set. Y'all fake as hell. That's crazy. But Sir was amazing. It was a great show. I also went to go see Kaytranada. That concert was lit. That concert, I actually I'm familiar with Kaytranada, but I don't be following and keeping up with him, or I don't be following and keeping up. And Deshaun actually was like, oh, we going, and I was like, oh, it was the same weekend as my friend's birthday, so I was like, all right, we'll go. And I'm so glad. It was a great time. And then there was also Chanel Trez opened up. And I was just really appreciative too, because it was, again, one of those things of our words have power, and so he raps over house music, and it was just so positive. And it was it was at one point where he was like, I wish I could see all my friends at once. And y'all know I be having slow auditory processing skills, so I was like, yeah. So every time he said, I was just like, I wish I could see all my friends at once. Yeah. I wish I could see all my friends at once. Yeah. And I'm just like, but really, I want to see all my friends at once. I want to be around the people that support me and love me, and that I support and I love, and the feeling of that. I think about all of my friends, and I'm like, yes, I want to be around all my friends at once. That's beautiful. And when he closed this set, he's like, I want to speak a good night over all of you. I want to speak safety. The power of that, and the aura was just amazing. And then Kaytranada came on there. He wasn't even on there for, I don't even think, 5 minutes before he done blew the damn DJ board and had to reset it, but it was lit. Like, it was a great time. And then I also went to go see Pac. Let me tell you something. And the episode that I had recorded that I was having technical difficulties with, and I was having technical difficulties and life difficulties, and I went back and listened to it, and it was also, I have headphones in, and where I recorded, it was like people around, so I was just like really in my head and self-conscious. And I've had episodes where I still just push through and record it, but I felt like it was just, I was really out of myself. And I listened to it a couple of times, and I was like, it's really not as bad as I thought it was. But then because I just kept sitting on it, I was like, so much shit has happened, I'm gonna just redo the fucking episode anyway. But in that episode, I was like, yeah, I'm about to go see, because I think I recorded it. The concert was on a Wednesday, and I think I recorded that Tuesday, and it was supposed to release Thursday. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to go see Anderson .Paak tomorrow, but then it's going to come out on Thursday. So that concert was amazing or whatever. But anyway, that concert was amazing. It was so good. If you get to see Anderson .Paak live, go motherfucking do it. That man can put on a fucking show. Like, oh, it was a great experience. It was amazing. It was so wonderful. Yeah, let me see. I took a clay class. I was really excited about that. They just gave us lumps of clay, and I didn't really know what I was gonna do. They like showed us how to make a human figure, and then from there I started making like a human figure kind of like in a meditative position, and I put like a hole in the base so it could be a tea light holder. And I've been waiting for it to dry, and I'm gonna do like, decorate her and make my girl look good. But really excited about that. Some of the books that I have been reading, let's see. So there was the 4 Agreements, The Secret, The Power. I've been trying to get more into like chakra work. I definitely need to do like buy hard copies, because it's like I can follow along, but some things I want to go back. So it's funny because the first audiobook that I started listening to was The Secret, which is a book about the law of attraction. And I was talking about how, this is something I plan on listening to more than once, because I think in total it's like maybe 4 hours or something. I was like definitely going to listen to it more than once, and I was going to just like take like timestamps and write down, but eventually get the book. So me and my coworker one day, we were just like, oh, let's go thrifting. We go to the thrift store, and I found some like 99-cent VHSs, because I do still have a VCR. So I found a couple of them. So I was like, I'm gonna start building that collection. I got like the Grinch. What else did I get? I think I got the Goofy movie. I got the original Rugrats with the orange. I think it was like Honey, I Shrunk Myself or something. And I forget what other. They had other ones, but I was like, okay, it'll be a lot to try to pull all of these out the store. So I was like, let me get a basic collection and then like go from there. So I got a couple of good things, and I started looking at like books about finance and stuff. I've been investing. When I said I was living my life, I'm living my life, okay? But yeah, like just trying to become more financially literate, really trying to just connect more. As I've been saying, it was just like everything. This world is so expansive. Y'all, like, go outside, touch some grass, okay? Yeah, and so then my I had been talking to my coworker, telling him how I was doing the Audible stuff, and then he pointed out, there it was right there, The Secret. I was like, oh my god, I was literally just saying I wanted this book, and I got it for $2.99. What else? Yeah. So have I talked about everything personally that's like updated, new? Okay, I'm gonna get into New York, but I'm trying to read and see what else is on here. Bought my 75. I don't know what that means. I don't know what 75. What did I buy for $75? I don't know. I don't know if I ever mentioned to y'all, I did. So I know in I think it was like Minisode 7, Dixie had asked me like, what is the one thing I want to say I did before the end of the year, and I said I wanted to get my LLC. Y'all, I've been had my LLC, right? But if you want to get an LLC, do not do it yourself. Go to like LegalZoom or something like that, one of those online companies. I think Northwest Registry, something. Let them do it so that you could do it right, because I'm pretty sure I didn't do my shit right. And so I was like, I'm gonna just dissolve it and try again. And so when I went to go try to dissolve it, they was like, oh baby, we can't dissolve it because you're not in good standing, you gotta pay this first. And I was like, huh? So then I paid that, and I was like, oh, you mean I gotta pay to cancel it? So that's another reason why I'm taking a break, because I'm like, okay, I gotta get my business strategy in better order, okay, so we can come back harder than ever, okay? Because when I told y'all I was gonna be a motherfucking millionaire, I meant what the fuck I said, okay? Mark my words. And you can too. You can too. It's enough money, enough resources, and just enough of everything for everyone. Yeah, if you're listening, I did like a little like and pointed at the camera with like a head nod, like, you got this. You got this. What else? But I don't know why that didn't have to do with the $75. So I don't really know what this $75 note was about. Okay, so let me just get into New York, y'all. I had a motherfucking time. And if you aren't following me on Instagram at 2scrippers1pole, that is 2SKRIPPAS1POLE, okay? I had posted a little snippet of me walking one of my little dogs, okay? So I had the outfit that I had on an all latex red outfit, a red bodysuit that it was my very first gift from a sub, my Throne account. They bought me the red latex bodysuit, and then I bought myself some matching red boots. And I was so excited because I was like, what the fuck am I going to wear to New York? Because I did, shout out Mistress Marley and Goddess Rue. I went to the first House of Damina experience, and it was amazing. So it was a weekend retreat for Doms. And so it was like, it was technically 4 days, but it was like the bread and butter was really 3 days. I only participated in 3 of the 4. So that first night was like, we had went out to a high-end like lounge area. Y'all, why the fuck I see motherfucking Reverend Al Sharpton? I said, oh! I like walked in, and I'm standing there just like, yeah, I'm here, like checking in, and I look and I turn away, and I'm like, wait a fucking minute. So I look back, and then he look at me, and I'm like, oh. So I look away. So then I like look back again, because I'm like, yo, ain't no way. And so he look at me again, and I like really awkwardly smiled, and then just like turned away, because then they were like, okay, we'll take you to the table. But I was like, oh my god. So anyway, because the UN conference was in New York that week, I think. So it was a whole bunch of motherfuckers there. But yeah, I was just like, oh my god. So anyway, we had like went to this place, and it was just like really from the moment that everybody got there, it was just so much energy. Oh my god, I met so many amazing people, and it was really, really awesome too, because I've been on this journey for over a year and a half now at this point, and to see so many people that like I've really been mostly on an online space, so to see people that I recognize from like different group chats that I'm in, or different classes that I've taken online, or just being on Twitter, like I've come across you, and like now and it's like, some people are no face, so I really don't know what the fuck you look like, or maybe like I know what you look like on Twitter, but like your Discord picture and name is completely different. So I really don't know. So it was like a lot of people that I finally was like, oh, I get to put a face to the name. And it was amazing. So the first night was like great energy. And then the second day was a busy day, because I told y'all how I was like, I got this hotel room, Halloween content, we got to push it out. I'm pushing it out. So I was just like, yeah. I woke up, let me see, because the first night, I think I got back to my hotel probably around, well, first of all, y'all, the trip to New York was just crazy because, I had my class, had to wake up in the morning, get to the train station, not the train station, the bus station. Bus was supposed to leave at 8. Bus didn't even get there till 8:30. We had a stop in Philly. We did get to Philly early, but then I was sitting there for probably about an hour, then got on the bus, got to New York a little early too. So I'm sitting at the hotel. They're like, we've sold out, you can't check in yet. They had snacks and all that in the lobby. I was up there fucking that chocolate cake up. Yes, I was. I had like 3 slices of chocolate cake. It was crazy. And then, had to finish my homework assignment, submit that, and start getting ready to go out. So I stayed out probably, I don't think I got back in until maybe like 1 or 2. Then the next morning I was like, all right, I think I got up at like 6 something, got the little continental breakfast, and I got to work because I was supposed to meet with Hoodman and Goldie, but at the park though, that's crazy. You about to get somebody's grandma a heart attack. That is crazy. Riding around in that damn Honda Civic. Anyway, disrespectful. So yeah, we had a scheduling conflict, so Goldie ended up not being able to come out, but I was like, all right, I still gotta like get some things done. So I did, like, I was writing plans for my chastity challenge, got that out the way, and then it was time for me to start getting ready and setting up the room for Hoodman. He got there. We had camera angles everywhere. I also posted some of this in my story. We did foot smushing, so I like stuck my foot in his face, did some face sitting, did some CBT. That was a lot of fun. And it was like, at one point I bought all these different gadgets. So I have like this like desktop ring light overhead thing. I got like a chest harness and a head harness now, and I have like my traditional ring light. I have a tracking tripod. So we just had all these devices everywhere. So I was like really wanting to try the POV. So we're like, I don't even know how long in we're into it, but I'm just like sitting on his face and just slapping his balls like blah, 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 blah. And I realized I didn't even turn the motherfucking camera on, bro. I didn't even turn the fucking camera on. I was pissed. But we had all the other angles. I was just like, damn, this angle would have been cool. So did that. I didn't do trampoline. It was just CBT, face sitting, and like foot worship. And then he went about his day because he had to go help set up for the later evening part of the retreat. So the first day was all about just like branding. And so got there, and that's when we started to see more people, because the first part was just kind of like a luxury outing, trying to start putting yourself. Oh no, I got 20%. Okay, I gotta speed it on up. It was about branding, and the first night was like putting yourself in spaces and getting familiar with that. The first night was about branding, and so we were really getting into like, how do you turn this into a 6-figure business? What is your brand? What are you saying? What is your purpose? What is your mission? Like, started talking about investing, started talking about like, how do you get all the free money that's out here, right? And then like, what's your pitch to subs? Like, okay, you're a dom, but like anybody can say they're a dom. Anybody can just, start practicing, but like, what makes a sub want to serve you, right? So I really started thinking about, just my dom persona and like where I want that to go, and how I can even not even like take this outside of just doming subs. How can I help empower other people, right? So that was the energy. After all of that, we then we had ended up going like across the street to like some Jamaican restaurant. We were having fun, and we all like took the train home. Y'all learn how to take the fucking train in New York, because one thing I was doing, I was scheduling them motherfucking Ubers. Okay, I was scheduling the shit out of them. But then the Uber to this part was talking about some $75. I said, oh, y'all got me fucked up. I learned that train so quick, because any other time I've been to New York this year, it's been like a literal, like I've been there for a couple of hours, so I just don't have the mental wherewithal to try to use a train. But then once I did, I was like, oh, this is easy as shit. Like, what the fuck? So New York will definitely be seeing more of me. But yeah, so then the energy was just so high though that I got back to the room and I'm just sitting here and I'm writing like, what's my pitch, and going over and over and over and over again. And then I don't even think I went to bed till like 2, maybe even later than that. Or no, I think I might not have went to bed till 4 o'clock in the morning actually. And then woke up at like 6 or 7. And I was like, this is the last day, because at this point it was Saturday. And I wasn't staying. The Saturday was like the bread and butter. Okay, we was learning shit. And then Sunday was like a high luxury brunch, but I didn't get a ticket to that part. And I had went home. So Saturday I was like, all right, this is like the last day. I got to get all of my content out of the way, because like I literally had a suitcase and like a carry-on, but it was heavy as shit because 90% of my luggage was props, because I was like, I'm getting Halloween content out the fucking way. So I was like, all right, crunch time. And I ran through it. So I did like a black male bunny that went over really well with subs. I did a majestic magic, like a mystical. I had a crystal ball and like made potions, like let me make a potion to make your dick bigger. And then I ended up taking a week off from femdom and like just dom posting too. So I ended up not doing, I haven't posted it yet, but I did like a nurse theme one. And then I have a photo shoot coming up for my Halloween costume. And then I have some footage that I did with subs that I need to edit too, and then I have like the hoodman stuff. So I have a lot of stuff. I just need to sit down and edit it, like with everything. So yeah, had to be checked out of the hotel by 11 a.m. I left my room at 10:47. I got every last drop out of the way. So yeah, I get there. We did yoga. That was just a really amazing experience, just to hear from someone else's mouth some of the things that I needed to hear. And I think it goes back to everything happens for a reason. Like when we're more present, we are more aware, and we can hear messages that are being sent to us. Or what is it? Like, you hear somebody else talking about something, but you heard that for a reason. How does that connect with you, or what do you need to think about? So that was just like really powerful. We moved from yoga into like the art of humiliation, and and it's so funny because when I first started this, I talked about how it's really hard for me to just be mean to people and just say all this stuff. Now I be like, you motherfucking shrimp dick pussy motherfucker, what the like, I just say shit in general, like how I just be saying shit here. I just say shit, and it's just so funny, and I laugh more so at like, did I really just say that shit? Yeah, I did. And so just like getting more into of like, what would you find funny? Because the whole point is like, I'm laughing at you. You want to be humiliated by me. So what's going to make me fun? What's going to make me laugh? Right? So what is it? Either me calling you something that's going to make me laugh, or what is making you do something that's going to make me laugh? So we was like having the subs twerk and shit. They was like looking ridiculous. So we was like, just go stand in the fucking corner. One sub, we told him to go stand in the corner. He like knocked over a fucking chair and was like, what the fuck, you useless piece of shit? Like, it was crazy. And it's also crazy to repeat this, but part of that is like, this is consensual. Because even in that, shout out motherfucking Princess Cherry, okay? That's my girl, Mango and Cherry Sorbet. But she was doing something with Hoodman, and she was like, he was like down, and she was like, you look like a German Shepherd. And he was like, oh, absolutely not. Like, that is a hard limit for me. I don't do the pet play, and I don't like to be called stupid. That's like a hard limit for me because I have 3 degrees. I'm motherfucking smart. Don't insult my intelligence. So it was like, okay. And so then from there, she was like, well, since you got your degrees and everything, it was hilarious. And then she made him like recite the alphabet backwards with a British accent. It was really funny. But it's that piece of consent. It's like, it sounds crazy, but like, we're not doing anything. And everybody has their reasons for why they do or do not want to be called something. But it's like, when you are in any type of exchange, dom, sub, top, bottom, whatever exchange, these things are consensual. You should be having these conversations, and you should be aware of people who like aren't necessarily looking out for that or not respecting it, because some things you just might not know. If people aren't respecting it, definitely beware of that. So So yeah, so then from there we did like a little trampoline demo. From there we learned fire play. Your girl learned how to do fire cup massages. That was really dope. We learned how to cane. We learned how to mummify a motherfucker. And then Mistress Unknown, oh my god, just a force, beautiful. Oh my god, she's great. She came in, she taught us breath play, how to motherfucking choke a motherfucker out consensually and safely, of course. Talked about pegging. It was just an amazing experience. So then from there, we had to hop on a bus to go to the recording space. So we get there, everybody, I was like, I had bought my ticket. Because originally the itinerary was like we was going to be there from 8 to 10. But then it was like 8 to 11. And I was like, oh shit. Like, I bought a train ticket for 11:23. Like, I got to be going. So I was one of the first people to record my scene. And I did pet play. I've been wanting to do pet play forever. Because I'm like, I want a dog. I want to walk him like a little bitch. And it was fun. So the sub that I had, he had like this lace mask. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to call you Lacey. And so I put him on a leash. I made him lick my latex boots. I made him like chase his imaginary tail in a circle. I made him roll around, and I made him start barking. And I was like, bark, bitch. And he was like, bark, bark, bark. I was like, what the fuck is that? I said, bark, bitch. He's like, wow, 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 wow. And I'm like, beg all this stuff. And I was like, all my fucking life, I wanted a goddamn Rottweiler, and I got stuck with a fucking Maltese. It was so funny. But it was a great experience. So that was really fun. I had a blast. And after that, that's when we did that for probably about 10 minutes, and then we transitioned so that other people could use the space, and then they were doing mini content recording elsewhere. So that's where the clip that I had posted on my story, where I was like, bark, bitch, like, beg. No, I was like, let me see you beg. And I was like, and then I was like, okay, I'm tired, you're getting on my nerves, shut up, or something like that. And I sat down. So that was the second one. But yeah, it was great. So we were in that space, and then I was like, all right, I scheduled my Uber, I think for maybe 10, maybe 10:30. No, I think I scheduled it for, it might have been 10:20. I don't know, but I scheduled it, and so it was time for it to come, and I was like, all right, gotta wrap this up. And I went to the train station, and why the fuck? So I get there, the train delayed. Train's supposed to leave 11:23. We didn't leave till past midnight. I get on the fucking train, and I'm sitting behind this group of white men, and one of them was that friend that just be drunk, like, I'm so sorry guys, I'm so sorry. I'm like, oh my god. So he loud as shit talking about how sorry he is for being drunk. Then the other three were just really giving douchebag, and they were so loud, and I'm like, oh my god. So at this point, I'm coming down from a high where I just had two white men on leashes barking like a fucking dog. What makes your ass think I'm not about to get up here and make your ass start barking too, bitch? That's how I was really feeling. And I was getting to the point where I was out loud saying, shut the fuck up. It was, yo, I was really just yo, I'm ready to dominate all motherfuckers that get on my nerves. It really was. I had to I know the next time that I as I continue this journey, I really got to find some grounding practices, because the power high, that top space, because I talked about subspace with dark matter, but top space is all it's this euphoric, you got to bring yourself down and come back to reality for a second. But yeah, so lady come around Amtrak, she's scanning tickets and shit. She come to scan mine, it's not scanning. Why the fuck? I bought a ticket for the next day. I was supposed to be on a train Sunday at 11:23. I said, oh. So she was like, yeah, I gotta buy another ticket. Why the fuck? That ticket was $87. I said, oh, mind you, the original ticket I bought was $22. I was like, what? I paid less than $100 to get to and from New York. Oh, it was too good to be true, because it was. And all I was like, I'm just grateful I have the money in my account. That's all. That's just where I'm at. I got a motherfucking ticket from when I went to Philly last year, or was it this year? No, it was last year. It was last year. Yeah, it was last year. Me and my cousin went to Philly, and then in July I went to Delaware for a wedding, and the tolls was $4. But them motherfuckers added on, and mind you, I had paid by plate, so I thought it was taken care of. No, they sent me a notice in the mail, and they was like, oh, you have to pay the tolls, you have to pay the volunteer ambulance fee, you gotta pay our motherfucking civil penalty charge, the surcharge, this. And I'm like, I do not reside in Delaware. Why is this my problem? So a two $4 tolls, so $8 turned into $183. I said, so I had misread the ticket, because originally I had got, because that was the other thing, they sent me the tickets a month after, so I'm like, I don't even know what this is. So the original ticket, when I went to Philly with my cousin, I had like tried to put in a waiver like, yo, I paid the $4, I don't know where this is coming from, da da da. I'm thinking everything's cool, they're gonna waive it. They waited forever and a day to send me a new notice saying like, nah bitch, you still owe us, right? So then some other, I guess I read it wrong, and it was like the 183, but I was like, I thought that they double charged me for the first ticket. I was like, oh no, I'm paying $91.50, like what? So I paid that $91.50 and I left it alone. They caught up with my ass, they found my forwarding address and said, no bitch, in all bold letters on the motherfucking notice, they said, we are entitled to full payment, you still owe us $91.50. I said, all right. And I'm just like, I got the money in my account for it. I'm thankful that I can afford this, right? So yeah, I'm happy to pay this bill, because this was a couple months ago. The way I threw that bill out my face so fast, I didn't give a shit, okay? But I'm like, life is good, life is great, I can do this, right? So yeah, that's just, yeah. So anyway, back in that instance, it was like, I'm on a train, these motherfuckers loud, like I want to go home, like, and if I can't go home, I don't got nowhere to stay in New York, like I gotta pay this $87. So then the lady, I was like, yo, I said, is there any free seats back? She was like, yeah, I got you. It was funny because I felt like I was taking things personally, and making assumptions. This is before I read the book. So, and I was like, I felt like she was giving me a little bit of two, because I didn't want to, one of my bags was too heavy to put on the overhead bin. So I was like, ain't nobody on this train. So I tried to like move it next to me. She was like, you gotta put it somewhere else. I was like, damn. So I had a little bit of two with her. And then them motherfuckers was getting on my nerves. Then she talking about something, I gotta pay the ticket. It was $87. I was like, bro, just bring me home. That's what I want right now. That is what I need. But I asked her, I was like, yeah, like, are there empty seats back there? And she was like, yeah, come on. So she walked me back, like, far away from them motherfuckers. Thank God. And she was like, yeah, them motherfuckers was getting on my nerves too. They loud as shit. I said, sister girl, yes. So then from there, yeah, I didn't realize that trains could have such long layovers. We had a layover in Philly for 3 hours. We got there at like 3 in the morning, didn't leave till, was it 3? I don't remember. We got there sometime, and then we was there for 3 hours, and then I came home. And yeah, has there anything else? Like, so all in all, New York was amazing. And I'm just like, that really set the tone for me of like, I've been saying how I need to take a break. I was going to take a break, didn't know when. I was like, now is the time. Like, I really just, I just took wanted to pause and let that go by, take a minute. Remember to be as present as possible, y'all. Live as every once in a while. Like, it was one of the reflection questions that I had was like, how do you slow down? So I thought about it, and I was like, there's 3 different ways that I slow down, and it's 3 different contexts. So I think like when I'm overwhelmed, especially with my thoughts, when I'm just overthinking, and it's like I got all these ideas, and it's like, oh, okay, I'm doing this, oh, but I gotta do this, and I just get, it's too much. Breathe. take a fucking second and breathe, bitch, because you're forgetting to breathe. Bring yourself back one thing at a time. So breathing helps me reset when I'm overthinking. When it comes to like wanting to be present and remember the moment, I connect more with nature. That's like at the Catronata, at the Anderson .Paak concert, like just taking in the environment I'm around, looking at the trees are dancing, the wind is blowing, yeah, it's cold as shit, but the trees are dancing, okay? The stars, me and my friend were having a conversation about like the stars, and it's like, he was like, I really thought that there was going to be more stars out tonight, and I was like, well, pollution, like, let's be honest, pollution, but like, yeah, it's like, if you really have to look longer to see the stars, and you can start pointing them out, and just like, you know, when I stop to think about, I think in just the past month of how many times I've thought about where I've taken that moment to like stop and look at a tree or listen to the wind blow or listen to this, how vividly I am more able to remember that moment and what I got out of that moment. So it's like, if I breathing when I'm overwhelmed, checking in with nature and my surroundings when I really want to be present and remember the moment that I'm in, or just check, even if I'm like if I'm within a room and not outside, check, like just being more aware of my surroundings with people, and like what are things that's going on in this room that I want to remember to help me be able to immerse myself back in this moment when I choose to. And then the final one is emotionally, like sometimes I just get choked up, and I have go-to people that it's like, depending on whatever it is I'm choked up about, I call this person, like that person will ground me and help me go through. So those are 3 ways that I slow down. And that was interesting too. In my class, the most recent conversation we had, I've really been, and I think part of this is because like I'm still kind of just like moving through the space. I'm still not in my own house, apartment, you know, I'm not in my own place right now. And so I'm having a little bit of a hard time connecting with art materials. And so oddly enough, I've been using markers, which is something I don't do. I've been making a lot more very simplistic work. And it might, I don't know, I'm more of an abstract person. I feel like a lot of the things around me have been a little bit more representational. So I've just had a hard time. But anyway, we made artwork in response to one of our recent readings. And then we started discussing, because normally for my sociocultural class, we'll discuss, then we'll make artwork. But this week, we made artwork, and then we used the artwork to help us discuss, which was it was a lot more fruitful conversation. And one of my cohort members, she kind of compared hers to like a lava lamp. And she was like, if I'm thinking about a lava lamp and the movement within the piece, one of my other cohort members was like, so how do you ground yourself? Or what in the piece grounds you? And it was like, whoa. And so then her response was, I guess it's the container, like the containment. When you think of a lava lamp, it's the outer glass that helps it. So when we're talking about in the context of just like our identity and diversity and multiculturalism and other people, and especially it's mind-blowing to be learning about how much of our, like, basically everyone's identity and our identity, what does that mean for us? What does that mean? How we interact with other people, how we see other people, how we connect with other people. And in the context of just being an election year, shit is insane. And you really see, like, okay, this is why people's identities feel threatened. And then it's also just jarring to see, like, the text that I'm reading talk about Trump, but in the 2016 context. And it's like, here we are 8 years later, and it's like things have gotten worse, things are the same. It's interesting. And so, you know, also this kind of, one of my cohort members was also talking about, like, it's really to be in this program, and it's like you're learning more about yourself, you're learning more about others, and you're also really seeing the historical context of so much stuff, really having to go back and consider things and not make assumptions about other. And like one of the questions my teacher asked was like, so what do you do like when you're with a client that might have like these opposing views? And I'm just like, in another class there was this group project, and like this person was talking about how one of the people who was participating in the group had said like, oh, like your name's so cool, I've never heard that name before, and then made like a comment about like, it was a racist comment about like names being hard to pronounce. And I was just like, my name is not hard to pronounce, but knowing where the context of like how she said it, it's like, I don't know what I would have done, especially in a therapeutic context. So I'm like, if I'm in a session with somebody, with this client, and the whole idea is like, you're supposed to have unconditional positive regard, you're supposed to accept the client as they are and help them navigate different parts of their identity and but it's like, okay, but what if I'm with that client that is just like, their views really are harmful to me, right? And it's like, this session is also supposed to be about the client. Like, it's so much to consider. And I don't know how much I've talked about it on here, but it's like also interesting for me because I'm like, just like I knew teaching wasn't my forever job, I also know that art therapy is not. Okay, that's the 10% warning, so I really do gotta wrap it up. Art therapy is not my forever job either. And so kind of navigating that, like, I'm in grad school for, spending all these thousands of dollars to learn this stuff. And in a way, I could learn it without it, but like I wouldn't have the experiences that I'm having. But just being content, riding a wave and seeing where it gets me. Like, I know what the end goals are, or not even the end goals, because just I know what the goals are. And so I'm enjoying the many journeys. It's the reason why everything has been put on my plate, and I'm just really excited to continue to see it grow. So since my phone was like, did I ever tell y'all, hold on, I don't know if I told you, I don't know, I think I mentioned to y'all about how I had the review the custom with the soap, and then I don't know if I actually told y'all how it went. So I did it, great review, he loved it. I went a little bit too far in my passion video to just make it work, right? So he wanted me to pretend, if y'all aren't familiar, and it's been so long I don't remember what video it was, but he wanted me to pretend to be a stepmom that's bullying him into eating a bar of soap. So I did it, it was great, but I just went the extra mile, and I myself, like, I was biting into the soap as I was like, like biting it, and then I put it in the camera and pull it out. So I like edit it and cut it so that it looked like I was stuffing it in his mouth and he would come back and bite. Anyway, so I went that extra mile, and my mouth was burning, and it just made me think, like, did somebody do this to you? Do you need a hug? Like, I was really stressed out, and I was like, yeah, I'm never going to be that passionate about a custom project again. And somebody else who wanted me to do, they reached out and was like, oh, he tried to pose it as like, oh, there's this breathing exercise, there's a potential to pass out, would you be willing to do it? And I was like, can you give me more detail? Like, what's the name of the exercise? Is your goal to see me pass out? Like, And he finally ended up admitting, like, yeah, it's called Pass Out Challenge, and I do want you to pass out. And I'm like, I looked it up, motherfuckers, like, this one lady was like, her daughter died. The two other videos that I watched, these, like, one person had somebody help him, the other person did it on his own, but like the way the people fell out was crazy. The way that they came back to, and they looked like they saw death, and not in a pleasant way. Like, it just looked horrifying, and I was like, what do you get out of it? I didn't say that to him, but I'm like, what the fuck? And like, knowing how cheap these motherfuckers be, you was gonna pay the bare minimum. You was gonna pay me $50 to try to, I'm not risking my life so you can get off for whatever reason. So I just told him, I was like, no, I don't think I can fulfill that for you. And he's talking about some how come. I didn't respond, because bitch, I said no. So I say that to y'all, that if you are in some kind of service profession, that you can tell people no is a full motherfucking sentence. If you do not feel safe, you do not feel comfortable, tell that motherfucker no. Okay. Mango's message, y'all, I'm so excited what comes over this break. Just like I did with the last break, I am going to be recording some episodes. I have a plan in my head to how I'm gonna release some of them, and then like I have a plan, and I will see y'all when I get back. Y'all, words have power. Really look at your words and what are you saying, verbally or mentally, and just like be more present. I cannot say it enough. Go touch some fucking grass. Give gratitude, give thanks, even if it's just like, yo, I like the way the sun's shining today. I like the way the wind blow across my face. Or, oh, I found $1 on the ground today. Or, oh, I finally got that promotion. Whatever it is, like, if it's something, check in with yourself. If it's something that you're happy, like, oh, I'm happy, I brushed my teeth today, like, yay, congratulations, that's great. Like, I got up out the bed, I finally folded that fucking mountain of laundry on my chair. You did that shit. You did it. So just be happy in those moments. Like, check in more. What brings you joy? What makes you feel good? Find what feels good and just keep pouring into it, because when you recognize what makes you feel good, you seek it more and it comes to you more, because it knows you, it wants you. But yeah, y'all, be safe, make good choices. I will see y'all on the flip side.